Now, President Bola Tinubu will meet with the leadership of electricity generating companies over the 4 trillion naira power sector debt. In a statement after high-stakes talks with chairmen of generating companies in Abuja, Minister of Power Adebayo Adelabu says the government has vowed to urgently address the debt. He assured the executives that the government will prioritize the immediate payment of a significant amount out of the 4 trillion naira debt to avert a collapse of the power infrastructure in the country. Adelabu acknowledged the government's role in the sector's struggles, pledging to also implement reforms to ease operational bottlenecks. Let's bring in Obonga, who is the Executive Secretary of the Nigerian Electricity Consumers Advocacy Network. Thank you for joining us on Newsnight again. Good to see you again and again on the show. But, you know, the problem with the power sector, it's been described as a national emergency. I wonder how you see it. But let's talk about this 4 trillion debt owed GenCos. How did we even get to this point? And what are the implications for Nigeria's power sector?
Well, thank you once again for having me. Well, it is ridiculous that we have gotten to this stage in our national life where it concerns electricity. How did we get here? 4 trillion naira.
Old GenCos.
Owed the GenCos. What happened? What really happened? Well, a substantial amount of that money, between 50 and 70% of that money that is said to be owed to the GenCos, is apparently that money that is supposed to be paid to gas companies that supply gas to the GenCos.
Right.
Now, why are the GenCos not being paid or, or unable to pay for gas supplies?
Right.
It is revenue shortfalls in the market revenue shortfall. We have 1, tariff shortfall and market revenue shortfall. Tariff revenue shortfalls and market revenue shortfalls. Now, what is the difference?
Yes.
Tariff shortfall is this. Presently, it costs 116 naira 18 kobo to generate, transmit, distribute electricity, plus the charges you pay to NEC, the regulator, the market operators, the NBET, the Nigerian Bulk Electricity Trader, and the rest of them. All their charges.
The whole electricity value chain.
Plus
the regulator.
Yes.
How much did you say it was? 116
naira 18 kobo. According to the figures released by Tunji Bello, who is the press secretary to the minister recently. So now, this is what is called costs reflective tariff.
Which we're hearing from the minister now,
yes,
that Nigerians should prepare.
Cost reflective tariff.
Should prepare for cost
now,
reflective
tariff. Now, there
tariff.
is what is called approved tariff.
Right.
Okay. The cost reflective tariff is put at 116 naira 18 kobo. Then what Nigerians are paying is about 88 naira outside Band A. Band A customers are paying 209 naira 50 kobo. If you add 7.5% VAT, it raised it up to what? 225 naira. Now Band B, Band C, Band D, and Band E, they are paying an average of that 80-something naira. So the difference between a cost reflective tariff and approved tariff today stands at about 27 naira 81 kobo per unit of electricity. So that is what the federal government now pays, what is called subsidy. That revenue shortfall, that is in one area.
What
in
the
one
minister
aspect.
says is no longer sustainable.
Yes, okay,
so
we are coming
Nigerians should
there.
prepare,
Then
yes.
still on
Because
that
we don't
revenue
have-
shortfalls,
Yeah.
you have what they call market shortfall. Market shortfall.
Which is?
What is market shortfall? Okay, a distribution company is giving invoice of, say, about 1 billion naira in a month. This is what the load, the power delivered to you, you have distributed. Right? Now, there is what is called aggregate, technical, commercial, and collection losses, which today stands at about 35 to 40% in the market. But the approved ATC and C here for the DISCOs as at 2024 is 24%. So these losses contribute. So therefore, for every 100 naira electricity that the DISCOs are giving, you are taking out between 35 naira to 40 naira as losses, and they are paying the balance. So that is called what? Market shortfalls.
Right.
Apart from that, you have commercial losses too, which is that the DISCOs received invoice for certain amount of money, but they are unable to sell. And even if they sold, people are not willing or did not pay 100%.
Right.
You understand? You have commercial and cash collection losses.
So there are different levels of losses.
So
here
these are the things that constitute the revenue shortfall in the electricity market in Nigeria. And the federal government now, in 2017 to 2018, made available 701 billion as loan to the Nigerian bulk electricity trader, NBET. Now, this money was meant, to cushion the effect of the difference between what the GenCos are able to pay to the gas suppliers, so that they will continue, generating electricity and the country will not be there.
Here we are, 4 trillion debt owed GenCos, in spite of government's 800
this
or
is
so
where
billion support.
this is the major concern of every stakeholder here.
So how
now.
will this be resolved now? Because we're hearing from government that it might actually resort to borrowing and pay a huge chunk of it in cash.
It has to be investigated. We have to look at it.
Notes.
What has that done? What happened after the first 701 billion naira was made available by the federal government through CBN to the Nigerian bulk electricity trader, and to cover the period of 2017-2018. Another 600 billion was made available to cover between January 2019 to March 2020.
So what I hear you say, because we don't have much time, unfortunately, government has been throwing money into this problem that refuses to go away. Because at the end of the day, Nigerians don't get electricity.
To me, it's inefficiency.
So what exactly is the way out? The government says it will borrow. How do we plug this issue of inefficiency? Is it just inefficiency that's going on, or is it a combination of a whole lot of factors, including corruption?
The bottom line is that liquidity in the market. What is the key to solving the liquidity in the market?
How do you achieve liquidity?
Number one is to meter customers. If you meter customers, and like in other clients, I said it here or somewhere else, if you meter customers up to 85 to 90%, like it's done in other this day, you bring down ATC and C losses, which is a factor, one of the reasons why we are having
Is anybody benefiting from not metering Nigeria?
Of course, the DISCOs.
But the DISCOs will tell you that,
who goes into their books? Do we have access into their books?
Penny-wise, pound foolish, if they don't provide meters, that they're willing to provide meters.
This is a disincentive to them to meter. The inability of the DISCOs to meter the customers, and they are going on all this crazy, even they are not respecting the cap, energy cap that is placed on estimation. They are not respecting it. One of the DISCOs here was fined about, I think, 600 million or 1.6 billion for flouting that.
If this 4 trillion debt persists and there's every likelihood that it could go up, what are the implications for the energy?
It is already going up. Sector? This is 4 trillion is for as of December 2024.
Oh.
It is accumulating. And
this is May 2025.
It is accumulating this year. And it is targeted that at the end of December, about 2 to 3 trillion will be added to that 4 trillion, if nothing is being done.
What's the way out?
So the way out.
Different levels of
the way out, number one, the federal government and the gas suppliers operate what is called joint venture agreement. And this joint venture agreement, the investors in the gas production, they have 60% equities. The federal government, 40% equities. Federal government can give up its 40% equities rather than be collecting money from, okay, please be giving the GenCos 40% of what you're supposed to be giving us. Right. And this is going to, because the way we are going, each time they talk of tariff increase, tariff hikes, and so forth, it's not a silver bullet that is going to shoot down or shoot up the revenues in the market. There are other ways we can go outside the box. 40% equities owned by the federal government in the gas companies can be. Then another thing against that, the discourse must be made to invest, to do what? They signed performance improvement agreement. Yeah. And CAPEX, PIP CAPEX, what we call PIP performance improvement plan.
Right.
Capital expenditure, PIP CAPEX. How many discos are implementing that? Various sums of monies are allocated to them every year. Every year. Like where we are here is about 17 or 19 billion. And nothing's been done. So
President Tinubu plans to meet with the GenCos leadership. What do you expect out of that meeting?
Well, the president, we are talking of, I'm not the spokesperson for the GenCos, but a whooping sum of 4 trillion is huge. And if generation shuts down, already there's serious crisis in the market, serious crisis in Nigeria. Electricity drives is the engine room of economic, industrial development of any nation. You can't toy with it. Absolutely. So anything, like the minister said, a substantial amount of that money has to be paid.
In cash.
You know, they have been paying about 10%, 30%, and so forth. And budgetary allocation alone cannot solve this problem. That is why I am suggesting to the federal government that they should give up on their 40% because the invoices of GenCos, 50 to 70% of their invoices is money that goes to gas suppliers.
Right. We'll have to leave it there. Obonga is Executive Secretary, Nigeria Electricity Consumers Advocacy Network, otherwise known as NECAN. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me
on Newsnight.